Well, hey everybody, welcome back to Tavern Talk, to our fourth episode where we're going to dive into the newest episode that we just got through and discuss a lot of different things. It's exciting to be here with everybody. And with that, let's switch over and say hi. First of all, let's say hi to our number one guy, our zombie, oh wait, that's in the wrong, you know what, screw it. I'll just move it over. Sorry, that was my fault. But anyways, Zombie, how are you, my friend?
Oh, not too bad. How about you?
Not too bad myself. I got a lot of questions again for this episode of Tavern Talk, our fourth installment, which is awesome. Besides Zombie, we also have Raven, our backup DM, our alternate DM, or whatever you want to call him. How you doing, brother?
I'm here.
All right, and then we also have Wolf. We have, I almost said Raven again, Grim and Arson. How are you three?
Doing all right.
Still feeling like crap.
I'm sorry. Well, we know how Arson feels. So, but all right. So let's break down the last episode that happened. There's not a lot of a story to be told in this. It was more so going through the finishing up what we started in the episode before. So to recap that, we got Zombie. Zombie, go ahead.
So, quick recap. You started the session right where the last session left off, right outside the crypt. And you quickly dispatched the small horde of zombies that had gathered in the front. Making your way inside the crypt. You fought your way through a couple cultists, a couple ogre zombies. Then you finally met the big bad himself, the cult leader.
The big cheese.
The big cheese. Yes, the big cheese. But not the cheese lord.
Not the cheese lord.
Not the cheese lord.
But he's the big cheese.
He's the big cheese. Splinter Cell faction from the cheese cult.
Yep. I figured you'd like that.
yeah. Got to make nods to cults and stuff like that when you can.
Yeah.
So the cult leader did something and started a process with the girl they were trying to rescue. Starting basically a countdown to her doom. The party had to rush in and defeat the cult leader, and they eventually saved her life in the nick of time, but causing an explosion that had an unknown series of effects on the entire party.
And we still unknown.
Exactly. It is still unknown. On the way out, they met up with a man named Cal Tabak and his steel defender, Wayfarer.
I liked Wayfarer. He was so cool looking.
and they made a connection that God, I just had a brain fart there for a minute. They'd seen this man before in Ravenswood when they were passing through previously. So they've seen this man. And he told them that he had a item that would allow them to go back to Ravenswood.
Mm-hmm.
And he offered to take any and all with them. But as there were other matters at hand, push comes to shove, only Cal and Wayfarer returned with the little girl with them. The rest of the party stayed behind to deal with the remaining issues that they had to deal with. And that is where we left the session.
Yeah, and so that was really a good episode that we went through, and a good session rather. And there was so much that happened in there, and I want to go back to the beginning to when Raven got his butt owned and fell. He actually died somewhat.
Mhm. He didn't
No.
die.
Didn't die.
He was mostly
knocked out.
dead.
He was unconscious.
Well, okay.
Conscious, yes.
So, I wanted to talk to him about that because the first thing I thought of is, and I wrote this down because I felt like that's the way it felt, is why did you want to die is what I said. However, I feel like that's not the right question to ask. It's more like, why did you not want healed? And because I was going to give him a potion, we were going to heal him and stuff, but he refused it. And so that brings me to my question. Why?
Why? There was a couple parts there. What do you want to know about? Why? What?
Start from the beginning and work your way through.
Start from the beginning and work your way through.
Yes.
It all started when I was born.
Well, it all started when I was born. I was born at a very tender young age. No. So okay. There's a lot of moving parts there. There's a lot of. First off, there really is. I hate to use that term, but there really is a lot to kind of unpack there with it. My intent was not to let Blaze die. Don't ever get, okay. The initial intent was there is some discord in the party right now. And the initial intent was to put myself into peril to force the party to try to work together better, which ultimately it ended up happening that way. So that was kind of the start of it. Now, it ended up being a series of unfortunate random events that led to what happened. When the cultist pinned me in the corner, I was like, "Uh-oh, I'm in trouble."
Yeah.
And then what really made it bad was the fact that inflict wounds started dealing max damage against me. That I was definitely not planning on. Now, so ultimately ended up going down. Now, just for clarity's sake, I did not die. I was unconscious.
Yeah.
Death does not happen until you take full damage equivalent to what your max health is. So if your max health when you are fully healed is 20 points, it takes negative 20 points to kill you immediately. Instant death.
And now see that right there is a learning experience for me because I've never experienced that. So I had no idea what happens when you get downed, like at all.
Yeah.
A lot of DMs and games will do it differently. Like Baldur's Gate will straight up, if you take any amount of damage, you're immediately dead.
It depends on the mechanic, yeah. But by D&D, by 5e system resource documentation, SRD,
which what we go by, right? That's what we're going by.
Ultimately, yes. That's ultimately what we're going by. You go unconscious. You don't actually die until you, like I said, you take damage equivalent to your full health, or you fail 3 saving throws. 3 death saving rolls. Now, if you get a 1, you roll a d20. If you get a 1, it's a critical fail, and you take 2 failures.
Okay.
If you pass the roll, so from 1 to 10, you fail the roll. From 10 or higher, you pass and succeed. If you succeed 3 times, okay, and that could be any combination. It could be 1 failure with 3 successions. It could be 2 failures with 3 successions. It could be, actually those are the only combinations because if it's 3 failures, you're dead. Okay, you stabilize. As long as you get 3 successes somehow, you stabilize at 0 health points, which means you're unconscious.
Okay.
I didn't. Now here's the thing about it. When he first initially took me down, that 16 points of whatever it was, That put me at 0 health points. I was stable. I was unconscious. I wasn't in death saving throws yet.
Mm-hmm.
When he did the additional 6 damage from the spirit weapon, I then was put into death saving throws. At that point, I had to start rolling the dice and hope that I would get 3 successes before I got 3 failures. Okay. Mm-hmm. But if I got the 3 successes, I would have restabilized until I started taking damage again, and then I would be back into it all. Okay.
Gotcha.
So that's what was going on there. So I didn't die. I was unconscious.
Well, and see, you got to realize from my point of view, I had no idea what was going on. I just thought you were dying. And just real quick, if you guys look over to the side over there, Zombie, you have to look down. But if you look down, you can see that our episode number and what we're calling it basically got put up. I wanted to start the episode with it, but something happened and I wasn't able to get it put up right. But so I figured I'd just point that out. And of course, above is our little Tavern Talk sign that I wanted to point out. I really like that. I wanted to make it animated, but we'll work on that. Anyways, back to the conversation at hand. So, okay. So that being said, I understand, and I also understand why you didn't want to get a potion or something like that when
that's what I was getting into next. So technically, the ring would not have activated when I went down.
Right.
Technically, it wouldn't have because I didn't die. Okay. And let me take this here in order. The reason that Blaze let the ring fall and wasn't wearing it was to show the rest of the party he is willing to die regardless of whatever happens to support the rest of the party.
So you went into this to actually die, like to actually do this.
I did not go into this specific situation. I had always had the plan of if something were to happen and he were to die, that he would let the ring roll out, that he would not use it.
Okay.
Because how many times have I said in conversation, it doesn't bother me if my character dies. It's part of the game. Sometimes I look forward to it to get to re-roll a new character.
You annoyingly say it a lot, so yeah.
Re-roll a new character or bring out another character sheet.
Or bring out another. Well, roll a new character or bring out one. Yeah, same thing. Okay. So death to me in the game is part of the fun.
Mm-hmm.
I went into it with the initial of I've always said, and I've always played my characters. If they die, their part in the story is done. It's time for somebody new. Zombie, you want to say something? I can see it, or are you just coughing? Okay. So my time in the story is done. So to me, while I appreciate the idea behind the ring of Revivify is what I've been calling it, it goes against how I play my characters. So ultimately, that would have played out that way had Blaze died anyway, even down the road. It just so happened that today was the day. Now,
I was all planning on putting that ring on your finger after, like, right as you die. Like, put it on, and then you'd come back to life anyways, and then you would, cuss us out.
Well, he doesn't even have it anymore.
Well, you left it. So when he threw it, so that ring is gone, or at least it's sitting in that
it's
crypt.
Sitting in that crypt. I didn't pick it up. Ignis threw it back at Blaze, and Blaze just walked away from it.
Okay. All right. So anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt completely, but
it's a good point. So Blaze did it today, though. It kind of worked out to show the party that they can work together. They can work together for the better part of it, and that Blaze is willing to die because he believes in the party, because of the amount of discord that's going on in the party right now. And it worked. You guys pulled together. You guys panicked. You guys pulled together and took care of the threat that needed to be done before trying to help Blaze, which is the way it was supposed to. That was what I wanted to have play out. And moving forward, there was more cohesiveness in the party.
Yeah.
So it kind of worked out. It really kind of worked out to, okay, this is actually going to help with things that are going on. And so that's why I let it happen. Now, why I kept saying, no, don't give me your potion. No, do not heal me. No, do not do this. But then I took up my own potion. As I explained during game, you're in melee. You have a better chance of getting to somebody with it and using it of 3 out of 5 people than you do to the casters.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be wasted on me. There are 3 people in the party that can cast healing spells. If worse comes down to it, they can cast on me. But we were right in the middle of a conflict. Those healing spells can cost spell slots, which can cost additional attacks and ultimately can cost a fight. The reason I said don't do it is because it could potentially be needed later on. And I had my own healing potions. I took one to bring me up enough. And then as you saw, I started hiding around corners a little bit more, using my familiar a little bit more, staying out of the direct line of fire a little bit more because I was low on health. But I was still up and I was still able to fight.
Mm-hmm.
That was strictly from experience in playing Dungeons and Dragons and knowing how things play out at this level. Of don't waste the spell slots now. If you want to do it after the conflict, when we have the opportunity to do a long rest, do it then. But don't waste it. We still had 3 rooms to go, and we didn't know what we were looking forward to. It would purely have been a waste.
And I completely understand that. That's why I was letting you know. Like, I understood why you didn't want anybody to use a potion. Now, what upset me is I have now given 2 potions to 2 of my teammates, and neither one of them would use it. So I was not happy about that because I know Grim didn't use his. Because he used everybody else's but mine.
Well,
so
I didn't use a potion. They forcefully healed me.
Yes.
Yeah,
but,
we forcefully healed him.
But that being said, I am now keeping those potions to myself because they've been wasted both times.
We've told you that before.
No. Anyways,
no, she's right. No, she's 100% right. We have all told you to keep them for yourself because they're going to benefit you more than anybody else.
But the thing is I'm doing it for the party. I didn't get touched at all this time. Like, I didn't get hit at all. No damage. Nobody even tried to hit me, which was great. And my rolls were pretty good. There was a couple iffy ones on the big old freaking troll zombie ones, but luckily you didn't need a really high roll to hit them. So that was nice. But yeah, I was just like, it was perturbing that nobody is used those and instead, like, in spite, used their own heal. And I'm not saying this towards Grim. That's towards Wolf, because instead of using my potion, she just was like, I'm healing.
I was gonna say, you have a right to be upset, but again, in character, Hydralis is not gonna use it because he knows it's from Fey magic. And I wanted to get that across, like, out of character, so that it's not a slight against you, it's just how Hydralis would act.
Well, let's cross that path right now, okay? So there was something that happened at the end that really, because when Hydralis was willing to sacrifice himself to take on that burden, I felt like that my character gained some respect back and was like starting to be okay. But then when we were like getting ready, like there was a portal and we were ready to go, and I'm like, we can't go. And then Hydralis was just a complete a-hole, so I just stormed off the party. I was like, you know what? Screw you. I'm out. I'm going back to town. And I'm going to deal with what I have to deal with. You guys do whatever you want. I'll figure a way back home. And I left. So, like, which I'm sure, you know, with everything that's been going on in the party, minus, you know, because Ayla really doesn't know what's going on. She has no idea what has happened. She may now know because after such, I'm sure there's going to be some discussions. Or maybe not. But that's for future talk. But the thing is with me going back, I'm going to, instead of going straight back to the place well, even if we can even get back in there and sleep, I don't even know if we even have a place to go back to. But I'm going to go straight back to Mirabelle and talk to her, or at least try to. Because for one, I want to see about my options, about my perception. And for two, I really do want to talk about other means to get home and stuff like that. So, all right. So, well, with my little beef out of the way, you know, I want to go to Grim real quick, and I want to see And I understand why you were such a a-hole throughout most of this journey. And I get it. I get it. But afterwards, even though, we had a way home, and I know it was right in the heat of the mix, like the transfer of taking her back to the real world is what we'll call it. I would have loved to see what happened if you actually tried to step through the portal. That's one thing that would have happened.
Okay.
I would have loved.
I'll say this right now. If Blaze hadn't brought up the fact that I did fulfill my oath by protecting the child, he would have. He 100% would have. But with the fact that Blaze brought that up, I was like, he's got a point. He's got a point.
So Zombie, what would have happened if he would have stepped through that portal?
He would have gone through.
Really? What would the repercussions have been from that, though?
That would be up to what happens then.
Oh, that's code for I have no idea.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, he probably didn't plan for that.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, there's a lot I don't plan for.
Yeah.
I put a lot of situations where, okay, this is the options that you have available to you. Now, like big key things, I absolutely knew what would happen.
Yeah.
Like, okay, with the situation just here, when you initially had a choice of, okay, do you seal the power or do you let it destroy the Feywild? I was really hoping you didn't just let it detonate and destroy the Feywild.
I have thought about it. I'll be honest, I have thought about just telling everybody, let it do its thing and let's run, but, I didn't.
I mean, you couldn't run far enough.
Right.
We would have been writing new characters.
Yes.
Pretty funny regardless. Let's get out of here.
But then there's a choice of, okay, you've sealed it. Do you save her or do you destroy the dagger? That could have gone either way.
So did you plan for that too?
Kinda. So, I mean, because basically I was hoping that you would have saved her because I was kind of relying on, Hydralis's desire to save the child and not just be like, whatever.
Right.
Wait, hold on. I must have mixed something up fundamentally because I thought destroying the dagger would have saved the child.
It did. But I'm saying if you didn't destroy the dagger
and just let her die,
and you just
I
let the process finish.
I misheard you just now. I was like, either you save the kid or you destroy the dagger, and I'm like, wait, what?
Wait.
Clean the sludge out of your ears from the crypt that we were just at.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. Well, and I know that like some things take you off your guard, like we did last week, or like I did last week when I got a better roll.
I did it today.
Yeah, you did do it today. Like stealing, like the option to steal out of the grave. Let's talk about that real quick.
Like, so that was literally purely like we walked in there and I was like, are those caskets or pews? And they're caskets. Immediately I went, oh heck yeah. And it was literally just a spur of the moment thought. I had no plan on doing that at all. I just was like, yeah. And I just said, I'm going to go open one of these and just see what happens. And I fully expected him to say, you see, a dead body in there and there's nothing else. And I would have been like, okay. And I closed the lid and away we go. But then when he started digging for something to pull out of that casket, I was like, nope, we're taking this further. Let's see what we can do with this.
It was funny too, because and then of course I was like messing with you the whole rest of the time.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, no, that was purely a one-off. I'm just doing literally, and ultimately it just became how badly can I mess with Zombie in this moment?
So Zombie, what went through your mind when he started doing that?
We're doing this. All right.
So how'd you come up with the ring of jumping?
So I have the DMG for 5th edition.
Yeah.
And I went, okay, well, what's going to be in there? I went, ring. So I flipped to the magic items and I counted how many rings were in there. Now realize all the rings that D&D has, it could have been any number of them.
Uh-huh.
That could have been an extremely overpowered ring. Like, let me just find it again. Like, okay, let's see. So, Ring of Animal Influence, Ring of Djinn Summoning, Ring of Elemental Command, Ring of Evasion, Ring of Feather Falling, Ring of Free Action, Ring of Invisibility, Ring of Jumping, Ring of Mind Shield, Ring of Protection, Ring of Regeneration, Ring of Resistance, Ring of Shooting Stars, Ring of Spell Storing, Ring of Spell Turning, Ring of Swimming, Ring of Telekinesis, Ring of the Ram, Ring of Three Wishes, Ring of Warmth, Ring of Water Walking, and Ring of X-Ray. It could have been any one of those.
So how'd you choose jumping? Was it that you didn't want it to be too powerful, or?
Nope, completely random.
Okay.
I counted how many there were, and then did a random number generator.
Ah, okay, fair enough.
That works.
I could have used a couple of those.
If it had been Ring of Spell Storing, that would have gone right on my hand. I'm just telling you that right now.
So real quick, like you threw that ring to Ignis and Arson. What were you thinking? Like, I know you were like kind of like rolling your eyes, but what were you thinking when he threw that ring to you and then you just pocketed it anyways?
You smoke scumbag.
That's what I was going for.
Yeah.
I was just like, yeah, you.
Well, it's an engagement ring now. So
I probably wouldn't use it. It has power, doesn't it?
It's definitely something has happened. You used it to put a lot of the power from the child into it. So
yeah, and that's the question I want to ask you now, Zombie. Like with everything that happened and using that ring to store the power, like it almost looked like that's what you wanted to happen. But in the same sense, I know that's not what you wanted to happen because you had no idea that ring was going to be even a possibility in this match.
Correct.
But what happened was, because to be fair, Raven and we were thinking the same thing. Like we could use that ring to store that power, and so when we did that, what was your reaction to that? Because you didn't really show much of a reaction to it.
So it kind of worked out for that.
Yeah.
Because, it just happened to work out that way, to be honest.
Yeah.
I was like, it didn't have to be a ring. It just so happened to be that, hey, you did find a ring.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been any magic item. It didn't have to be that. It could have been, anything.
So technically with, like, two basically magic users, would it have been able to go to them as well?
Technically, yes.
So that means Ignis probably shouldn't have it.
No, not the
she
not
meant
the ring.
She meant the power.
Oh, the power. Okay, got you. Okay. So,
and I honestly have thought about it. I actually honestly have thought about channeling it through me. The other thing was had we not had that ring of jumping available to us, if Blaze still had that ring of revivify, it would have come off and it would have been used for it.
I mean, you said anything magical, like, does a potion fall under that category?
I mean, it would, but it would, wouldn't be ideal.
Yeah. So yeah, that was pretty good thinking though about all that together. Like it worked really well. I don't know if I can ask you this question because I don't know if you have an answer for it. If somebody would have taken on the power themselves, like, because I don't know if you have an answer of what the power does yet, or do you?
Kinda. But as to what it would have done to a person,
Yes.
I don't know.
Like, say a warlock did take it on.
They would have definitely taken some damage, that's for sure.
Yeah. I don't think I would have survived because I'm newly warlock-esque type of character, and there's no way I would have survived that. Like, I felt like I would have probably died.
I mean, who knows?
All right, so I wanna take this towards Wolf now. Yourself and Grim were basically fighting. Well, you were fighting with him. He was just like, no, I'm holding all the cards. You take this dagger from me. I want to see you try. One of those things. Okay, so you said we don't know about your character that much. Are you able to talk about off screen, like out of character?
So long as you guys don't bring it in before it actually happens.
I mean,
because I actually talked with Zombie, or does he want to say no to that?
That is purely your call, because that is your character. What you decide to reveal is your choice.
Let's put a pin in it then, because okay. I'd rather have
this actually goes all the way to the very beginning of once when I first show up.
Okay, I don't want to spoil that because once it's out there, it's out there. We won't use it in game, of course, but in the same sense, we'll know. So I didn't know if there was, because I want this coincides with your reasoning for wanting to take on the burden of that, and I was just wondering if you could reveal anything that's not going to spoil, but if it is, then
like I asked Zombie, is like in the game, I was like, can I take that upon myself and take it to another plane? That kind of coincides with it.
Yeah, and you said that out loud. Like you literally said it in the thing about taking it to another plane, so I get that. All right, so yeah, we'll just have to wait on those answers, and I'm perfectly fine doing that. But
I'm also assuming that the power that was released is going to affect me slightly differently than everyone else as well.
Well, it'll affect both you and Hydros because you were at ground zero. You both were at ground zero when it happened, so...
Oh, here's a question I wanted to ask you, Zombie. If I never would have opened up that coin, would we have never been affected? Or would it have just anyways?
You would have been affected regardless.
Okay, good.
Everybody was getting hit by it regardless of, Yeah.
So if they left the ring with us, would they still have been affected, or would it just been...
The coin, you mean?
The same... No,
the only way for them to have avoided getting hit by it is to go extremely far away.
Basically to right where
Lacridus was, yes.
Yeah.
Full tilt marathon sprint.
Basically.
Yeah. Well, we wouldn't have had the time, really. It would have taken a lot because she was on the verge.
And it was also rough terrain.
Yeah. So, it would have... Yeah, exactly. The rough terrain, because we didn't even take that into consideration. I just followed where you guys went. And I was like, okay, fine. I'll go there. Because I didn't even think about going... I actually did think about going out of the building, but I also thought about just going around the corner of the room. So, like on the outside of the door. Like, close the door, guys. But...
Hey, don't hide in corners. It gets you attacked and killed. Just saying.
Yeah, no kidding. Wait, you said you weren't killed.
You know what I mean.
I know. But I'm just throwing your own words back at you because I can, and it's funny.
I do have a question for Zombie in regards to my character. Does the Feywild know on what's happening with my character as well? Like the people of the Fey?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, I would probably definitely say the Archfey absolutely knows.
Okay.
But whether you know who the Archfey is would depend upon
it's a whole other story.
is whether you watched or listened to the previous episode.
Yeah, I guarantee she didn't. I almost guarantee she didn't.
So
I've been busy with work and trying to game and sleep and not be sick.
She's been
So
busy with
other
Enshroud
things.
It. Enshroud It and more Enshroud It.
You're good.
Well, see, that's a good question. So what's next? You know, the thing is now that this is over, I feel like the next episode or the next session we're gonna do, I feel like a couple of us are gonna stray away. Like, and I think that could be a possibility. Like, if I'm on my own right now and I get back to town and I just like avoid the team, and then say Arson, his character goes to, you know, figure out what's going on with the ring and everything. And I'm sure he's not going to go alone, but I feel like our team's going to be possibly split for a little bit in the next one. Is that a possibility? Like, or is it like, no, you won't be split. You're just going to do your thing.
It's always a possibility. I will never force the players to remain together.
Because technically, me and someone else could have gone with Cal.
I mean, exactly.
Back to the
Blaze
world.
and Ayla could have went, see you bye, you know, have fun in the Feywild. I'm going home.
Yeah.
You know, and that would have been on them.
So,
and we would have. And go ahead.
I was gonna say, so if they would have gone over there, would they have still had their own little side story? Like, would you have like, you know, did the Transformers da 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 da, and then go over to them, and they're doing their story, and then flip back to us?
So what I would have done in that situation is, it's one thing if you have different people doing different things in the same town.
Right.
Like, say you're all in that little Feywild village, but you're all doing different things and stuff like that. That's one thing.
Right.
But splitting up the party across realms and to where you're having to try to manage not only that, but say you're in a fight with, you know, a rival noble faction, and Hydralis and Ignis are getting in a fight again back in the tavern, and then we have Ayla and Blaze are in the material plane, and now they're fighting some goblins. That's way too much to try to manage.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree.
What I would have done is I would have expedited matters.
Yeah.
I would have had to heavy-handedly dealt with some things and basically just said, here's what happens. Here's where you're at now.
Uh-huh.
I would have reunited the party, at least on the same material plane, or the same fate plane, regardless of which one I chose.
Right.
And here's what happened. Now you have to deal with the consequences of what happened.
Okay. Because go ahead.
And so, you know, but that didn't happen.
Right.
So
thankfully, because I think Blaze was actually thinking about it, like, for real. Weren't you, Raven?
He was, but he never would have followed through. I mean, he looked very lovingly and longingly at that portal, because he's about had his fill of things that have been going on as well. And especially now that we've completed that part of the mission, the reason that we're there, he would have very much have been, yep, let's head on back. But he would not have gone knowing that there were still some unfinished business with members or with his friends, and out of loyalty to his friends, he was going to stay anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's good, because I was wondering that. Go ahead, Grim.
I'm surprised none of you guys realized that Hydralis actually broke his oath.
correct.
Mm-hmm.
He technically broke his oath.
I didn't even think about that.
I'm gonna be real. I don't remember what your oath was.
Compassion.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, ripping out a
we-
guy's
Yeah,
heart
right there.
and eating it, probably not the most compassionate thing to do.
Dude, I wanted you to bite his head
Real.
off so bad. Like, I was hoping that you were going to.
Talos did.
Gosh.
And to be fair, that was a big part of the reason why Blaze also stayed too, is because he's seeing things happening with Hydralis. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but he's taken more of a, you know, trying to help keep him calm, sort things out. And while he would have loved to go home, and sleep in his own bed. Like I said, that's part of that loyalty to his friends.
Well, I feel like the Hydralis and Phoenix thing is going to come to a head eventually. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be calm, but I feel like that it's going to come to a head because I'm telling you, my character felt a lot of disrespect in those last moments that we were together. And
So I was like, I'll just say this, and this is something that I have noticed, is that so the party has been traveling together for so you spent about 6 months
yeah,
in the boot camp. And that's where you first met.
right.
And I told you at the beginning of session 1, you don't have to give your entire backstory. You don't have to give any of it. You can give as much or as little as you want, but only give what you've told. And since then, since you graduated, you've been traveling together for 2 months. So you've not even known these people for a year.
Right.
And for the most part, not a single person has made any attempt to make any connection with anybody at all.
I mean, I did go on extra missions with
That-
That yes, but going on extra missions isn't sitting like when Lacridus and Blaze were sitting at the table, say the fight hadn't transpired a little bit. It could have been as simple as Blaze noticing the symbol on her little half cape that's clearly a ship's flag. It's like, what's that symbol? And then she would have relayed a story of, oh, well, the ship that served on, and and relayed a bit of her story.
right.
So, I mean, I kind of feel that, obviously you're going to have characters that are going to evolve and stuff like that. And I always encourage that. Everybody that's approached me, that's what I've said. It's like, by all means, I will work in your character.
Yeah.
I will 100% fit it into my story in some way. It may not be 100% how you want, but I'm going to do my best to fit it in. Now,
Go ahead.
efforts to connect to other party members, I haven't seen a whole lot of that really taking place. Now, yes, you have gone on other missions,
And see, that was my attempt to like more bonding.
but the following that up would have been, hey, at the end of this mission, let's get a drink.
Yeah.
And let's sit at the tavern and let's, over a game of cards or Three Dragon Ante or whatever thing, fantasy poker.
Dragon Ante.
Fantasy poker.
You start just talking and,
Yeah.
you getting to know the person. It's like, so I see you've been, trying to learn the loot there. What's the story behind that? Or is this just a, hey, something I've always wanted to do, kid?
And to be fair, I'm extremely new at this. And
no, and I'm not trying to fault anybody.
Yeah.
But and this is, like I said, this is not criticism. This is not encouragement. Anyway, it's just simply an observation. Is a lot of what's transpiring is the result that you have a group of people that for 8 months have been working together. They've been training and working, but nobody really actually knows anybody.
And
don't. I mean, you may trust Blaze to a certain extent, as you've been back to back, and I need to depend on you. But that only goes so far when you start having interpersonal conflicts of like, well, okay, yes, you're doing this, but I don't know you any better than I know, the barkeep at the bar that I go to see every couple nights, and I occasionally talk to him.
Yeah. And to be fair, out in the real world, I spend more time out with the common folk than I do with most people. Because that's where, and then also keeping my ear to the ground to try to find out more and stuff like that. So, and I guess I just thought that like afterwards we would probably go get a drink instead of just saying it. We would just go do it. But that's on me. And this is definitely a teaching and a learning experience right now. Like you're teaching us this, and we're learning that we definitely will in the next coming weeks, months, we're gonna have to start trying to get on the same page when it comes to that. So
I mean,
Well, I've already got a plan for that actually.
I was like, I wouldn't do anything your character wouldn't do.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if your character wouldn't do stuff like that, then by all means, don't force your character to do it. Like Phoenix, if your character is just a very secretive, and I play everything extremely close to my chest, just because of my past, I've learned I can't trust people.
right.
Like I've played characters like that before, and you have to play it to where you hit a point where you have to be like, okay, I'm either all in with this person or I'm walking away. Like,
Right.
okay, like like when you're getting to know somebody in real life, you kind of hit that threshold of I either need to trust this person explicitly or I need to just walk away because it's starting to get too real.
Mm-hmm.
And I either need to embrace that connection or just cut it off and walk away.
Right.
And see, and that's like I said, I already have a plan kind of in the works for that to try to help deal with party cohesiveness. And this, when I say it's Blaze is already turning things over, which, you know, I find it interesting that, you know, Zombie, you were saying that, you know, you're not seeing a whole lot of, you know, how did you phrase it? You know, people not really kind of trying to reach out to everybody when, like, right before Blaze was about to go down during the battle, you know, Arson was like, you know, you're the glue that holds everything together. What the heck? You can't die. Mm-hmm. You know, we were having that conversation before. And I'm like, well, that's very interesting that you all see that. And I mean, I get that. Okay. He's, of the party, he's the oldest. As a half elf, he's the oldest. He's been around much longer than everybody else. But, you know, it's interesting that if there's not this cohesiveness, and Blaze has been making attempts to try to keep I mean, you are right, the Blaze has been making attempts to try to keep the party together and keep things flowing. And he's trying to work on trying to build this cohesiveness, and it's going to come to a bit of a head, which will be interesting when it happens. You know, he's already planning on trying to help with that and help steer things back the way they need to be.
Well, I think it'd be pretty interesting if when we start off, like, okay, so if you guys are in agreement with this, I think this is the way we should go with the next episode. That we should pick up exactly where we left off, maybe a half a day later or something like that to rest up and all that stuff, whatever. But this is up to Zombie. But I feel like that, like, at least at the beginning, we should explore that separation for a little bit. That way I can go and have my conversation and not be bothered by anybody while I do it. And then you guys can figure out what like Arson can figure out with Ignis, what the next step is with that, because he may have to leave the party from there and go back to the other town instead of like going all the way to the Fey town, the Fey village or whatever. He may have to go over there. I mean, I don't know. What say you, Arson? What are your thoughts on that? Like are you gonna go to there instead of going to the Fey town, or are you gonna go?
Can I just say that for poor Ignis, anytime anybody is going to bring up anything related to Fey or Fey Wild, he's going to physically recoil.
As well he should.
That's how much this like little arc has, you know, taken a toll on him.
Yeah.
As for the whole wedding situation, I don't know either. Like, again, it's well, okay, I have 3 days, and also by of which, since we're already on the way back, as Lacridus said, that's like a day and a half's travel, right?
Yeah, and you've only gone like 3-4 hours away.
Okay. So you can head back.
Yeah, so you're not so far that I mean, technically, you have enough time. You could get there and back within enough time. But
So yeah,
something I would like to bring up.
yes,
The whole bonding thing, that's the entire reason why I brought up Hydralis's story, is because Hydralis knew that when he found this person, he was going to do something. He didn't know if he was going to break his oath, but he knew he was going to do something off. The reason he brought up his backstory is so that everyone else could at least try and imagine him for who he wanted to be. You know what I mean? Who he thought he could have been, the paladin that he was when he first joined the party, right? That's why. And now Phoenix saying, oh, I don't care because he hurt Maribel, whatever. Like I get that from his point of view because, again, him and I are not seeing eye to eye right now, and
100%.
who knows when or if we will for a while. You know what I mean? Because our viewpoints on one, the Fae, and two, our predicament are so staunchly different, And again, I think it's a really interesting dynamic, but I think you need to interact with it a little more, Phoenix, because when I was incredibly rude to you saying you have the bag, Hydralis was very clearly done with this place. He just wanted to leave, and he felt that Phoenix was like, oh, but what about the Fae? Hydralis doesn't care, right? Now, if you would interact with that and that would let Hydralis kind of vent his emotions a little more, I think that we could both come to an understanding a bit better, and I think that would help us actually grow as party members. Because right now, think about it. Hydralis doesn't even know that you don't trust him because no one's told him.
Yeah,
he doesn't know.
Well, not many people in the party speaking too much. So
yeah, exactly.
Blaze really is the one that's holding it together because that he's got more of a not an attitude, but the mindset of like, okay, guys, we gotta get through this. Like, look, it happened, but to put it to you this way, look, I'm not a big fan of the Fae either because they tricked me. And now I got this freaking scar on me for the rest of my life. But everything that happened has got me because the one person I can trust to my thought is the one that actually did this to me in the first place. And to be fair, I did this to myself. Not that they did it. I mean, they did do it, but I got to take blame in that for sure. Because it's one stupid thing after another with me.
We all warned you not to go away from us, and you did.
Yeah, but to be fair, I do what I want. I do what I want.
What my character's is she keeps saying she does not trust the Fae because of part of what happened to her character. But at the same time, she's also only been with you guys for a month, but we're not interacting much besides me and you fighting.
Yeah.
So she does not like you.
I don't like you either. So that kind of goes hand in hand. And it really came to a head when I tried to help you out with the potion and you snubbed it. That literally got me to the point where I was I was done with you.
Okay. Look at it from her point of view. If you're traveling with these people only because you don't know anything else. You don't know where you're at. You're lost. You have no clue what continent you're on, what's going on. And these people kind of okay, yeah, they kind of have their stuff together. So, but until I know something better, I guess I'm going to go with these people.
Yeah.
And if I'm bickering with a member of my party, and they go, here's this potion, it'll help you, I'm gonna be very wary of that. I'm gonna look at it
and not trust it.
Yeah, I may not 100% trust it because, especially if I have my own means of accomplishing the same goal that said that it's supposed to accomplish, it's more of I don't trust anybody here.
And I get that, but in the same sense, on my own side is I'm trying to help out my party, and keep them, not so much together, but like I don't want them to die. Like, and I've been snubbed twice, so it's like, I'm not going to offer that help anymore. I'm just going to keep it to myself, which is fine. Unless it's in dire need. Mainly because, like where I am at right now, I just where my character is at right now, rather, is in a weird place. And honestly, Grim, I think we should get together this week with Zombie sometime and talk about our next steps.
Yeah, I'd totally be down.
I think we should do that, and maybe record a little bonus content, so it's always good for that. But I really love our story, but I really hope that we can spend some time apart in our next episode. At least, like, not the whole episode, but like pick up where it left off instead of having a week off. Because I know we've talked about.
I was going to say, how about this? How about we make a bit of a compromise? So Phoenix, you headed back ahead of time. So you're going to get back a little bit before them.
Right.
And that's assuming that they turn around and all head to that, back to the base of operations, for lack of a better term, right off the bat.
Yeah.
But they may not.
Right.
You may have a couple people that branch off, and Ignis may go to the small town, and somebody may accompany him, just not dealing with all that by himself. You may have somebody else that's just like, hey, I need some time to sort things out.
Right.
I mean, like you said, Hydraulis, he broke his oath.
That's got to be hard.
That's a big issue he's going to have to wrestle. Like, what does that mean for him? What does that mean for his connection to the goddess Fluetta? Is it still there? Is it salvageable? Is he going to try to do something else? Is he become an oath breaker now? So he may need some time. So I'd almost kind of say maybe the start of the next session starts not a week, but a day.
Okay. That'll get everybody back to healing and...
Well, it'll get everybody enough time. They've had a full rest, so everybody's back to full hit points, full spell slots, full everything. And it's been enough time to reach whatever destination they're going.
Okay.
You've reached the village. You've had maybe a few hours to do whatever you wanted, get back in town, take a bath or whatever. Everybody's gotten to where they're going, and we can kind of go from there.
Okay. I think that'd be a good idea.
To that point, Blaze is the only other one that knows what Ignis is going through.
I was hoping you'd go with him. Like, to be honest.
Blaze is the only one that knows what Ignis is dealing with this, because we didn't really tell anybody.
No.
I just kind of jokingly turned and tossed in the ring and said, here, you're going to need this, in the crypts. But nobody really knows because I didn't tell anybody, and I don't think he has told anybody. So, to be perfectly honest, Blaze is going to go with Ignis to get that cleared up, to help him get that cleared up, because he's the only other one that knows what he's going through. And it gives him gives Blaze an opportunity to interact. He's been, Blaze has been interacting and trying to help help with Hydraulis, and has been able to successfully help try to keep him calm, keep him focused, things going through, and has been working with him. This is an opportunity for Blaze to now help Ignis and develop a bond there.
So what I think is going to be funny though is you go back to that town empty-handed, and will these people know that you robbed a grave? Like
No, we won't tell them.
Yeah, but they're also Fae, right? So
yeah,
but Fae aren't omnipotent.
Right, I know,
even the arch Fae, they're not an omnipotent being. So, I mean, now they may figure it out eventually when somebody goes to the crypt to investigate. They may see, hey, this, well, I'm assuming he closed it. He wasn't just, I'm just going to leave this thing.
Oh yeah, no, it was that. But that's silly.
If the person is until they may see that the seal on that particular, coffin has been disturbed.
And they'll
But
check it,
unless
yeah.
somebody knew the contents of that coffin, nobody's going to know.
But
And they're not even
now-
going to know if it was me that,
Right.
that rifled through it.
Yeah.
It could have been anybody. So,
It could have
so-
it could have been that leader that we fought. So you know,
Yeah, it could have been one of the
Right.
cultists. So
yeah,
again, in that regards, they're safe. It's more, you didn't clear the rubble, you didn't clear the bodies, you didn't, because that's what he asked you to do. He asked you to clean it up, not repair the structure, but kind of get the rubble out. Clean the pathways. You don't have to stuff like that, but at least clean it up so if people come to visit, they're not having to trip over piles of rocks and stuff like that.
and to be fair, it's not too late, right? We could go back and do it still. I mean, they didn't give us a time frame, so.
No, but I mean, a reasonable person would assume if you come back to the village and it's not done, then you chose not to do it.
Well, what I'm
Right.
saying is like on the way back out, they could go and clean some of it up, and then head back
No.
to the village. But
I mean, either way,
We
if
didn't
the
even
guy,
say that.
if the guy asks, it's just, I'm sorry, we did not fulfill, the conditions of what you asked for us. So we were so focused on our mission that we just, it slipped our mind and we did not fulfill it for you. And we apologize and just move on from there. As long as you're honest, it's better than trying to lie or cover it up.
Yeah.
well, and I was thinking that not so much of a cover up, but actually go back and do the job. But also, like right now,
No.
everybody's going to be so split up. It's unless everybody goes with you two.
Well,
But
and so if you want the honest truth, the way it was intended is if the whole party spent time cleaning, assuming you're not, working 24-hour shifts and stuff like that, it would have taken you enough time that by the time you left the village, it would have been time for Ignis to go back for his event.
yeah,
So it would have taken you several days to get the place, cleaned up, not like mopped, but, like I said, all the debris taken out, tossed out into the, swamp somewhere. The roots and all the other stuff cleaned from the path. All that type of stuff would have taken a good several days.
yeah. Well, and
So-
the thing is like with the sick girl on our hands to get her back, we had to basically
Yeah.
do that. So
Yeah.
I think they'll be understanding about it. But yeah,
But
guys,
now we don't have the sick girl.
well, yeah, but that's because we had to, go. But it would have been interesting what that coin would have done. How that would have helped us in some way and stuff like that. But we'll never know. At least to this point, we won't know.
Well, and there's always going to be aspects of campaigns and stories where there's going to be something that, like that comes up and then it just gets dropped
Yeah,
because the campaign it's organic. It takes a different direction.
Yeah.
And that's what's happened here. So it's nothing really even to dwell on at this point.
right. Well, on that note, we are past the mark, and we got a lot talked about. I feel like Arson didn't get talked to enough, but let me ask Arson this: what are you expecting from going back to town? What do you think? What do you like off the top of your head? What are you thinking? What's going to happen?
Not anything positive, I can tell you that much.
Yeah,
Look, I'm already
Marrying
like,
a fae.
I'm already like,
lover
very-
boy.
I'm already like, Ignis is very troubled enough as it is, and I think I should clarify just really quick. I just wanted to clarify back in the last tavern talk, that whole because it came off as to like me and Hydralis hating each other. It was not that. We like even after that tavern talk, we discussed it a little bit more, and I clarified just a bit because, unlike Hydralis, where he just like doesn't really like Ignis that much, Ignis was really hurt. Like, okay, well, I wouldn't say Hydralis hates me, but it's more of like
it was just a matter of you poked the bear. Well, the
Yeah.
Spinosaurus. Yeah, you poked the Spinosaurus, and you got bit, right? And he understands that that is not your fault at all. He was very again, he tried to stay civil by just not messing with Talos and stuff, but the second that it escalated, he took it too far, right? That's why after I got absolutely throttled. By the way, to the zombie ogres, right? I got hit twice. I got put at 3 HP. Ow. Anyway,
Yep.
you know, that's why when you healed Hydralis, he gave you that smile, because he feels like he now has earned, you know, a right to talk to you again. You know what I mean? Like
You'll find it a little hard. Like, yeah. But yeah, just really quick. Yeah, I he never hated you. Like, even back then when we did the God games, and you just basically vomited venom poison all over me. He didn't hate you then. He didn't hate you when, like, we were in the training. You know, obviously, I imagine.
Yeah.
Like, we sparred, right, Zombie? I imagine we sparred.
Oh yeah, I mean you sparred with everybody.
Okay, yeah. So, like, you know, he never like was like jealous or hated you. Like, he may have been a little annoyed, sure, but like it was never like, I'm gonna stab you in your sleep.
God, man, I hate that guy.
It was more like after that whole fiasco, like with like me picking up the glass and wanting to kill you, and then like finally realizing, like, I was heartbroken. Like, that was what that was. It was like I'm gonna kill like my teammate, my friend, the guy who I fought with. And like rangers are very, like, it's in the lore. Like, rangers are very solitary hunters, and they aren't very social. Ignis was a bit lucky that he wasn't alone for most of his endeavors during those times. But secret, Ignis is actually a big old teddy bear on the inside, but he's just he just likes to keep it like on the inside instead of the outside.
Yeah.
Better than Ayla right now, because she's a druid. She's supposed to be like working with Coven and used to working with people, but she's growing colder because of what she's going through.
But like, yeah, it's that's why I'm mostly quiet for, like, especially like this session and then like the later half of last session, is because he wants to close himself off. He feels like if he does anything else that messes things up, he's going to be alone with Whispers, which sucks, because I imagine as long as tales go, being alone while hearing voices in your head isn't exactly good for people in the long term.
Not for your continued sanity, no.
I would say that's like a 30-70 on the OK scale.
It's fine.
Wait a minute, Whispers,
But yeah.
isn't that a dancer?
Sure, you can take it that way.
She danced at that
But
one
yeah,
club. No.
He's just gonna be like closed off. He still cares, but he's just not gonna be as open and jovial as he was during like the first couple of sessions.
Yeah. Well,
And I guess we'll see what happens for the next episode.
Well, it's going to be interesting to find out. But by Zombies Yawn, it seems like this episode is about over.
Come to the end of our time.
I'm hungry.
He's like, I'm hungry,
getting
tired,
hungry too.
need a nap, you know.
Yeah,
But
Time to feast.
I want to thank everybody for being here for this. It's what started off as basically me and Zombie doing a little tavern talk just outside of everybody, has turned into like an additional hour of talking about future episodes or what went on and what's going through people's minds. And I really, really like this. Now, I'm not going to say that everybody's going to be a part of this every week, but I like it. I really, really like it. And I would like to hear you guys out there listening to this or watching this right now. How are you liking it? Please comment. Let us know, because this is bonus content. If you can care less about it, then we can just not do it. But we enjoy it, and we're hoping that you guys enjoy it. Let us know what you guys think about so far of our campaign. What are your likes, dislikes, if you care. So, but on that note, for everybody else in this, the Shadowed Hearth Tavern, we are going to call it a day, and hopefully by next week we'll have some new toys to deal with everything around for Tavern Talk, and you won't have to deal with the normal stream stuff. So I'm hoping that happens. We'll see how much, because look, I'm my tech guy. I'm everything. So it's all me. And with me being back in school, like actually going back to finish my degree and everything else, it's been a lot. So I'm trying my best. But we'll see where it goes. Also, guys, if you haven't, by the time this airs, if you haven't, the At the Movies should be up. And it's really cool. We're going through a few cartoons that were patriotic for 4th of July, and we're gonna spearhead that with our main event, basically, which is going to be Disney's Golden Mouse and what's it called, Steamboat Willie. And since it's in the public domain, we are able to use that, and we're going to. So, but on that note, guys, if you want to get to know From the Ashes a little bit more, the link is in the description, and go check it out. I urge you. It's all fixed. Everything's good to go. But until next week, you guys have a fabulous adventure. Until then.